Live from downtown Oklahoma City, Oklahoma's own News 9 starts now.
Our top story here at 4, more U.S. forces are heading to the Middle East to help Israel defend itself against an Iranian missile attack. Thanks for joining us. I'm Bobby Miller.
And I'm Amanda Taylor. Carl's off today. As Natalie Brand reports, the escalation has sparked growing fears of an expanding war in that region.
From Indie streaming news leader, this is WRTV News at 6, streaming now.
And first tonight, Iran attacked the city of Tel Aviv in Israel this afternoon.
Iran launched hundreds of missiles. Israel's military says they stopped many of those from hitting their intended targets. An official confirms the U.S. intercepted some of those incoming missiles as well.
This latest attack comes just days after Israel killed the leader of the terrorist group Hezbollah, which is one of Iran's allies.
2,400 longshoremen now on strike at the port of Baltimore. Ship traffic coming to a screeching halt. I'm Tara Lynch with the latest on the nationwide longshoremen strike and its impact here in Maryland.
And changing the zoning laws on crematoriums. The impact a proposed city council bill could have on the industry. Derek.
Well, looks like our days of cloudy and wet weather are finally about to come to an end. The latest on when sunshine makes its return coming up in your First Alert neighborhood forecast.
On your corner, in your corner. This is WJZ News, all local news at 6.
Crisis in the Middle East continuing. Iran launching nearly 200 missiles into Israel, fueling fears of an expanding war in the region. Hello, everybody. I'm Denise Koch, and welcome to WJZ's All Local News at 6. Before we get to our local headlines, however, a major international story. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying Iran made a big mistake and will pay for it. That's a quote after Iran's missile attack into Israel earlier today.
Live from downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma's own News on 6 starts now.
I'm talking about full body force of multiple individuals as hard as they can, pounding, kicking, banging, jiggling door handles.
A Bixby family is shaken up after they say some teenagers vandalized their home in what they believe is a TikTok trend.
And a new lawsuit against the Price Tower in Bartlesville says the owner cannot put the tower up for auction next week because it's already been sold.
But first at 10 o'clock, a Collinsville animal rescue group is frustrated after the city has said it will not be renewing the lease.
Sports with Jack Burney on WTWO.
Tonight, the vice presidential candidates take center stage.
Republican J.D. Vance facing off with Democrat Tim Walz for the first time.
And it might be the last debate before voters head to the polls.
Our special coverage starts right now.
A critical showdown just 5 weeks from Election Day.
Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz taking on each other for the first time.
Let's get to work in Washington, D.C. When we fight, we win!
The candidates have been crisscrossing the country in the final sprint as polls show an extremely tight race.
But can they make the case for their running mates and prove to Americans that they're ready to be a heartbeat away from the presidency?
From NBC News, here are Lester Holt and Savannah Guthrie.
Good evening and welcome to our special coverage of the first and only vice presidential debate before the general election, which is now just 35 days away.
And we're just moments away now from that historic debate. Ohio Republican Senator J.D. Vance and Minnesota Democratic Governor Tim Walz facing off in front of the American people.
This is a Fox News special presentation.
Welcome to Fox coverage. This is special coverage and simulcast of the CBS vice presidential debate. I'm Shannon Bream. We're moments away from the face-off between the Republican and Democratic VP candidates, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz. The first time these two have ever met. Well, tonight's debate comes just 3 weeks after their running mates, former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, held their one and likely only debate.
Tonight, for the first time, vice presidential candidates Tim Walz and J.D. Vance face-to-face in their only scheduled debate in the race for the White House. The running mates for Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump making their case to the American people with this race at dead heat and with so much at stake. Our coverage of the vice presidential debate starts right now.
This is an ABC News special. Harris-Walz.
Kamala Harris is going to stand up and fight for your freedom to live the life that you want to lead.
Trump-Vance.
The president for working people in the United States of America, it's Donald J. Trump, and we're going to fight to get him back in the White House.
Now, just 5 weeks before Election Day and early voting underway, the race couldn't be closer. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Tonight, the running mates debate in the race for the White House. Now reporting, David Muir.
Good evening, everyone. We are just 1 hour away from tonight's high-stakes vice presidential debate between Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance.
This is WUSA 9 News at 11, and thanks for staying up with us on this vice presidential debate night. I'm Leslie Foster.
And I'm Lorenzo Hall. So we just heard from Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Ohio Senator J.D. Vance for the first and probably only time on a debate stage. They covered a lot of ground tonight. We heard about the response to Hurricane Helene, the state of our economy, immigration, reproductive health care, and gun violence.
A lot of conversation about policy tonight, and we have team coverage of this debate between the running mates. Our verified team is fact-checking the claims that you just heard on the debate stage. That's about 20 minutes away.
We trust doctors. Let the individual states make their abortion policy.
The biggest takeaways from the first and likely only vice presidential debate.
Plus, what local leaders have to say about Governor Walz's performance.
All right, we have a shift in the wind, which is really helpful for us because it's coming out of the south now, and that's going to boost our temperatures. But it's also bringing in a fire risk. We'll talk about that fire risk coming up.
And in the next 10 minutes, home heating could be burning a hole in your wallet. The change you'll see in your heating bills this winter.
This is WCCO Mornings, always streaming on CBS News Minnesota.
5 o'clock on this Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm AJ Hilton.
And I'm Heather Brown. Let's begin this morning by heading out to Joseph Dames here with our next weather forecast because we are back to the 80s.
We're back to the 80s today. It's all because of the shift in the wind. You know, some days in the morning we talk about rain, some other things going on, but the story today really is going to be the wind.
Live from the Chippewa Valley's news leader, this is WEAU 13 News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Alex Loroff.
And I'm Heidi Paxton. Thank you for joining us. Nearly half of Wisconsin's public schools.
As historic floodwaters recede, as rescue and recovery continues, take care of your neighbors. Conserve fuel and resources. This is our chance to come together as a community. Reach out to each other and lean on the support around you. Every helping hand, every kind word, every generous act contributes to the healing process. Your courage will pave our road to recovery. Together, we are Western North Carolina.
Effective, smart diplomacy and peace through strength is how you bring stability back to a very broken world. Donald Trump has already done it once before.
Our coalition is strong, and we need the steady leadership that Kamala Harris is providing.
The VP candidates take the debate stage hoping to give their campaigns a boost just hours after an Iranian missile attack on Israel and as key battleground states struggle with the devastation of Hurricane Helene. Now the question this morning, how will it impact the razor-tight race?
Live from WEAU 13 News in Eau Claire. Hello, Wisconsin.
Good morning and hello, Wisconsin. It is a Wednesday, October 2nd. I'm Ellie Pomerlew. Bob is off today, and after a taste of fall weather yesterday, it's going to heat back up as we continue our roller coaster ride of temps this week.
From your First Alert News team, you're watching Fox Carolina, the 10 o'clock news.
President Biden in the upstate in western North Carolina today, seeing devastation and destruction left behind from Hurricane Helene.
And we're looking ahead to our next big thing, which is a chance of showers. Now, of course, our area does not need much more rain. And the good news is we're not talking about a lot, but I'll show you when it could interfere with things you want to do outside.
Plus, 3 people charged in the death of a missing upstate woman, including her husband. We break down what happened as the suspects appeared in court. A historic moment today as President Biden visited South Carolina, touching down at GSP before taking an aerial tour of the damage across the upstate and western North Carolina.
Coming up on News 40 Sunrise, a new report from the American Cancer Society shows a significant drop in breast cancer death rates over the past 30 years. We'll have the latest look at the new data. Then, we'll learn about the rescue and recovery efforts for Hurricane Helene. They're still going strong into Thursday as rescue crews work around the clock to bring people home. Plus, new numbers show egg prices spiked in price this year far more than any other food item the government tracks. We'll find out why that is and when we can expect that price to go down. Good morning, and thank you for joining us here on News 40 Sunrise. Today is Thursday, October 3rd. I'm Ashley Wilson.
Good evening, friends. Thanks for joining us today for Friends at 5. I'm Andrea Mock, and unfortunately, like I just said, the storm-related death toll is climbing here in South Carolina. In the last 2 hours, Governor Henry McMaster announced we are now up to 41 people who have died as a result of Hurricane Helene. We also know that 2 of those people were victims because of a generator and they got carbon monoxide poisoning. The governor also confirmed 21 tornadoes touched down or appeared in South Carolina during the storm. He says that the state is hoping to receive the max amount of funds from the federal government that we can.
Tonight on ABC Columbia News at 11, storm recovery. The governor and power officials are updating the state's recovery response. Plus, tea time. It's a pink tea party, all for breast cancer awareness. And meteorologist Tyler Ryan has a look at your forecast. ABC Columbia News at 11 starts right now.
This is ABC Columbia News at 11, at home in the Midlands.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
In high definition, this is 41 NBC News at 11.
Well, good evening. Thanks for joining us for 41 NBC News at 11. I'm Tucker Sargent. Our top story tonight at 11, a Wheeler County resident still hard at work to recover from the damage of Hurricane Helene last week. The county now has resources from the Georgia Emergency Management Agency and has been working to get those to residents.